excellent family office runners. I don't have to say more about them, maybe I just pass the mic to them and then let them introduce a bit about what they're doing now and what they're looking at the moment, so that we will carry on with the talk. It's a free flow. If you guys have any questions, please do so, raise your hands and we will, entertain you. Thank you. No, okay? Oh, you got a mic. Thank you.
Hello everyone. So I think most of you know me for my role as a tech entrepreneur and also as a tech investor for the last 20 years. And in 2020, I start to shift my focus back to my own family office and start to do direct investment. So basically, for our own family, my husband focus on the public side and I focus on the private side. And so we do our own investment and we are first generation. The reason we focus to our own family office is basically mainly because of succession plan. And so we are still learning because building a family office when you are holding a Hong Kong passport is actually very different from, if you are in US or Europe, the tax implication is very different. And so we are also learning what's the best structure for ourselves.
Excuse me. Let me thank you everyone for coming. I know why Kenix didn't make it, because the questions were too difficult for us. So she didn't want to ask. I'm glad we paid her well. The other reason Gary asked me to come here is because he knows at home I don't have a voice. So this is the only time I can speak. So thank you all. I appreciate it. My family has been in Hong Kong since 1939. Our specialty in our family is always in Hong Kong. It's always focused Hong Kong. The family pillar of activity is property, and in the property sector, it's hotels. Then I was born. And with that, my father said that I have to go out and venture to look for new activities and other businesses, which I could try to build into successes. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. So I built a few that were successful, some that were not successful, but I've come in to now structure the family in thinking forward to become one part. The family in the pillar of the business, number two, is to create a structure where the family office can represent the voice of the family. And the family, as we are in Hong Kong, over 100 members. So to structure that and create that, I took that burden, that responsibility to create something.
Good afternoon, thank you for coming. My story not as interesting as my one. I'm from Malaysia. I'm based in Singapore. I came here because Gary is a dear friend. So I just came in to support him. I'm very happy to meet all of you. I'm Malaysian, from Malaysia. I've been in Singapore for the last 10 years, so we run a multi-family office focusing primarily on private investments. I used to run a regional asset management business for public market. The last 10 years I decided to go to the dark side, which I think is more interesting. So we do both private equity and venture capital, primarily late stage to pre-IPO. But post-COVID, we move a little bit earlier because the choices of late stage are getting lesser and lesser. So happy to discuss more if you have any interest to move to Singapore. I'll pass the mic to you.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks, Gary, for inviting. Gary is very helpful. He can connect you with anyone in the community if you are looking to connect with anyone. He is a very good connector. And I'm from a private banking background, and I went into the Invest Hong Kong, the Hong Kong government department that managed family office, and worked there for several years. And I just started my multi-family office business this June this year. So we are still getting in the stage of getting the SFC Type 4 and Type 9 license, and we are still learning. Thank you.
So now you guys have a fair understanding of what they're doing. So my first question would be directed to Mahesh.
Hey.
So because he before this, he said, okay, don't ask me difficult questions, just ask him his name. So what's your name?
Mahesh. Thank you.
But okay, Mahesh is just a decoy. The surname is important. Harry Lela. So I think most Hong Kong people will know Harry Lela back in the 80s and 90s, in fact. He's the largest or the wealthiest Indian family in Hong Kong. Mr. Harry Lela is a legend in Hong Kong, so to speak. Okay, so this is where he's from. So he has a lot to tell about his family. But the thing is, now you are being the youngest among maybe the third generation. No, you're not the youngest, but you are the outcast.
Absolutely.
Yes, you don't have the voice. You don't have the voice in the family. Then you have to go up to the voice of the stage to sing. Maybe you can.
That would be cousin David.
Right. So I think within that big family, it's very difficult to make decisions because there are a lot of voices, or there are a lot of ideas. But now you're setting up the family office. So what do you expect from the journey that you're starting? You have started now, and then what you expect would it be later, like in 5 years?
Pray. That's it. Can I ask everyone a question? How many of you are G2, G3, part 1? Number 2, how big is your family? Do you have more than 10 members? Do you have more than 20 members? Is anyone here G3, G2 in family office or family generation? Because you'll understand, getting along with family needs a central voice, a central power, so to speak, that draws the cohesion of an idea, the cohesion of love, cohesion of unity through development. And in this, I'm not going to take too much time because we have everything.
Don't worry, you have a lot.
I'm the living G2. I am pretty much the last boy of G2. After that, we have a lot of girls in the G2, and then there's G3, G4. In this, the structure of trying to navigate between the older generation that always never believes they're going to die one day. So therefore, succession planning is actually not one of the elements they think about. The second aspect of the young generation that don't think that we know what we're talking about. Ageism. They think they know better. They've come out of college, they've gone to different countries around the world, they know a lot more. And they come back and say, hey Dad, do you know about Instagram? Do you know about TikTok? And then when Dad says, what the hell are you talking about? They say, you're out of age, you don't know what's going on. So sitting in the middle allows me that opportunity to bridge between the elders and the youngest. And we've come to a point of a recognition of time that we, our family, have now hit a benchmark of being 100 years old. We're 100 years old. We're a family in Hong Kong that's unique in itself. We need to create the legacy that allows us to move forward for the next 100 years. So that point in time hopefully becomes the focal point for all generations to be able to look at rather than trying to communicate in different voices or without a voice, being able to look at one aspect to come together. And that's what we're trying to achieve.
So a century, like the family history, wow, that's amazing. And in fact, I pretty much agree with you, Mahesh, about the unity of family. Because if you don't have a unity or kind of united, then you don't have progress because everyone just going different directions. So, Click Ventures. So you talk about you are doing the internal thing, and your husband is mostly facing outward. So what's the internal thing that mostly trouble you?
No, not internal.
Not internal.
Private
investment. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, because I was a tech entrepreneur, so and then I started my own VC firm. I focus on investing in seed stage startup. So now when I shift my focus to our own family investment, we no longer do direct investment because I have done enough. I have built 50 portfolio company around the world. So we have enough exposure for direct investment. And now we focus on the fund investment. So when I said I'm responsible for private, it means these funds, mostly VC funds that I'm looking at, because they are not related to the public equity. So I said it's the private side, and my husband has been doing the public investment for many years, so he's responsible for the public side. And for me, because I have the tech background myself, and so when I look at fund investment, I laser focus on fund entrepreneurs who are building their own VC fund and who are focusing on seed stage investment. So that's my focus. It's not very common for other family office because most of the family office are more focused on mid or late stage investment. I think I have a very different focus because of my own background and the network that I have built. Because when I was running my own VC firm, I traveled to more than 20 countries as a speaker. So I have a pretty global network, and that's why our fund investment are also very international, apart from our direct investment. Yeah.
I'm not the sole manager, so I do have a team that help the families. So I think looking back, why I do this is because I was from a family, and I understand how important it is to have a good planning. We are doing a good job. Yeah. So if without good planning, like Chinese always say, 富不过三代. Yeah. So I think it's very important. So I think our family, we are still around, but kind of the family business disintegrate after the third generation. Yeah, so I understand that it's important to help some of these families, a lot of whom are my good friends, to actually create a structure, and it's not so much to generate more wealth because they are already wealthy, but it's more to protect their wealth, to make sure that their wealth continue to grow, and to the legacy planning to pass on to the next generations to come. So I started my career in the public sector, but I realized that public market only goes so far. And with all these wars and post-COVID disruptions and so forth, it's very hard to build and maintain wealth in the public market. So I started to venture into the private side 10 years ago, a few years before COVID. So how do I balance? So it's a very, my platform is very simple. So it's a multi-family investment platform. So I told them, if you need the full planning, I can help you because I do have different partners, but I focus primarily on investment. I only do private investments, venture capital and private equity, and primarily late stage because that is the space that I'm more comfortable in. So as an investor, I myself is very conservative. So I could have invested into all the seed or angel stage and make 1,000 times, 2,000 times, but I believe in stability. And late stage in the private market is as good as or even better than the blue chips of the public market. And a lot of my investors are happy enough if I make them a 2x to 10x kind of range within 3 years to 3 to 5 years. So all my funds have a tenure of not more than 5 years. Some as short as 3 years, depending on how fast I can exit the investment. So so that is how I plan the route for different families, and all of them have different needs.
I'll come back to you later, but your capability chain, value chain is quite long and quite broad. Okay. So Jacky, you're building the family office right now. So how is it going?
We have 6 founding members, including myself. The other partners are lawyers, accountants, trust and private equity expert in their own field. On average, around 20 years of experience. Our vision is to build a comprehensive multi-family office, because most of the multi-family office I came across in Hong Kong, they focus on investment only, and our vision is to help our clients to have a one-stop solution, including helping their kids to plan their studies and careers. We help them to manage their family members' health. We have doctors in our team as well. So we are not only helping our clients to manage assets or investment. We look forward to become one of the comprehensive solution of the family office.
So you're doing your family, and then okay, your cousins, your relatives trust you. No, they don't trust you.
Far from it.
Far from it. But how do they know that they can save the place of money or the family assets into your hands and then let it grow like a big tree? It's like what your uncle Harry has been doing or have been doing in the past.
Yeah. So I think the first thing is that we're 6 pillars, so 6 family members. So 6 family members, we have the choice of a multi-family office where we can utilize and share the same resources in terms of analysts and managers. Then we also have the single family collective office, which we take from the proceeds of the returns in the business, that would then look after the welfare going forward. So in this, the element of trust is the most difficult thing to bridge, because nobody trusts me. So I have to remove myself from the equation in the structure of the strategy and the plan, to remove myself from actually participating in the management of the money. That helps to diffuse some of the prejudices that may exist.
Yeah.
So in doing so, I hope that the trust in the professionalism that we have in place will be able to drive those mandates and those returns. The second aspect is we have to set with them a pre-pro forma of expectation. The pre-pro forma is really telling them that we're going to go into blockchain sector for a certain degree, we're going to go into property and a certain element, we look at different investment of the public equity side of it, what's the percentage and what are the expectations. So the pre-pro forma, then we ask them for the engagement on that by providing them with a pro forma, the intent to perform. And once that's set in place, that's where it gets locked in. We're not the government. We're Horace. We're 100 people who have an opinion about everything,
Right.
including my shoes.
So, is there a KPI to follow such that if you fail that, you get sacked?
Again, I'm not doing this. So I have no risk. Yeah, of course, the expectations are varied. I have family members who say bonds are trustworthy, they're good government bonds, and if it gets 3%, you're getting 3%, but you know what's going to happen with that. I have family members, like myself, that look at the multiples, like you're saying, but on the pre-IPOs, I don't get 10x, so I need to learn something from you, I think. You know, tell us your secret formula, the crystal ball in you as well. And then, so we look at the bridges of what can be and what it is, and how do you manage the mix in the portfolio that can actually hedge against those variable risks. The risk appetite is very, very low. Because we, like all Hong Kong people, have a trust in property. And only in property, not government, not in money, is the foundation to what we think. And I had to try and break that down. And I talked with my Uncle Harry. What do? He says, property. Now he's not here anymore, and the property market is not what it used to be, at 28% annualized growth. What are we doing? So what we need to find out is really what we represent in Hong Kong and what Hong Kong represents to us. And from that, build the foundation to grow, expand. That's basically.
Mahesh mentioned crystal ball, and you just mentioned about your experience with Zoom back in those days. So you did invest in it, right?
I asked my husband to invest in it, but he didn't. That's why we started more conversation.
That's a very good point.
Yeah, I think I can give you a few examples how I see a lot of business will be running going forward, because I find that China is actually a very good example to understand the online and offline dynamic in the future, because you see that in China, online business has been going really well much earlier than a lot of other countries. And nowadays, if you look at companies like Starbucks, around 47% of their business is actually coming from online. And so maybe you will think, okay, because Starbucks is a big company in China, but how about those small companies like a small restaurant inside a shopping mall? I found that they have very similar metrics. Most of these small shops, no matter it's a beauty shop or a small restaurant, around 50% of their revenue are actually coming from online. For example, like those live commerce, like Xiaohongshu or the TikTok. So they sell these coupons online. And another thing very interesting is these small shops, they also encourage you to buy the coupon online instead of pay directly in the shop. The reason is because they care about the ranking inside those platforms. And if you have higher ranking, you drive more visibility. And so that's what's happening in China. A lot of the small business and big business, they need to do a lot of online marketing and drive the business from online world. And then for the offline world, because the offline world has been struggling because the online competition is too big. And that's why now you can see some of the offline business, they start to rebrand themselves, like bookstore in China and also shopping mall. I think they has reinvented themselves very successfully. So shopping mall or bookstore, now they inject a lot of experience into the shop instead of just helping you to discover books and buy a book. They inject a lot of experience. So that's a very good example how the online and offline will be going.
I see that, okay, there's some common DNA that you guys has the eyes and ears of things that you guys invest in before it grows exponentially. So what are your eyes and ears? So who supply you the ingredients? I mean the sources of deals.
I've been in the industry for a long time, so yeah, I do have some inroads into some of the founders. So since you're in the chat about GPT, and to answer your question as well. So like for example, OpenAI, I spent some time with Sam 3 months ago in Singapore. We invested in his company last year at about 10 billion valuation.
Wow.
And about 6 months ago, we syndicated a deal to raise money for him at 29 billion. And next month, they're going to
It's 100 million.
raise their next series at 80 billion. Yeah. So that's how we
You can
generate
exit.
the returns.
You can exit already 8 times.
Yeah, within 1 year.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah,
But
so-
how could you do that? I mean, it's like magic.
No, it's about, I think it's about connectivity. You need to be in the industry, you need to actually connect, talk to the people. You need to actually put your money where your mouth is, because you can't just talk to them and expect them to give you allocation. You need to put some money, invest in them, spend some time. So it takes years of interaction, connectivity, and investment in order to get into the inner circle. Because the founders are very strange animals. They only
How strange are they?
they only they are successful because they have ideas, right?
Yeah.
So, and even though they are competitors, for example, Mark,
Zuckerberg.
Facebook,
Yeah.
with the rest of the founders, they are all competitors. They don't like each other, but they benefit each other. So it's a very small circle that, so they open up their allocation to people within their circle. So I do have my inroads into the US Silicon Valley.
But
I want to make the discussion more exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think for those people who are not connected to Anthony or Sam, there's another chance. You know, when OpenAI is growing, building a lot of very powerful LLM model, actually the other side, Mark Zuckerberg, they open source their own LLM.
Yeah.
So like Llama 2,
Yeah.
So before, Llama 1 was only for non-profit. But when they launched Llama 2, they allow commercial use, totally open source. As long as your number of users is less than 700 million, you can use it free of charge. And you can develop anything on top of it. And that's why the application layer, all the startups who are building application, leveraging these open source, are very interesting, especially the startup who has a lot of proprietary data themselves. These are very interesting. So if you don't have connection to Sam or Anthony, these are also very good opportunities.
Wow. So Jacky, you're still building it. So I think you're quite far behind.
Yes.
I have to say it. Okay. So what is your magic then to your clients, to your family clients?
Okay, my magic I think is my connection with the government. Yeah, some of our clients come to me because I can help them to connect with some government projects or government resources. Yeah, that's my magic maybe. Yeah, and we have 3 business arms. The first one is the EAM platform. We help some of our clients like the type of Uncle Harry to manage their assets in private banks. And the second type of clients, we have in-house portfolio managers to help them to manage full discretionary portfolios under their own private mandate. And the third type of clients, we help them to source PE, VC, and startup projects. That's what I'm currently doing.
Yeah, but there are a lot of people in here can do the same. How can you differentiate yourself? I mean, you have the edge, so you have the better investment return like JPEG and crypto. They say you can have a 15% annual return, and then now it's busted. So what's up?
Okay, because I have been in the, I was a private banker and I serve mostly ultra high net worth Chinese clients in mainland before joining the government. Therefore, some of them are also entrepreneurs and have a lot of startup or VC enterprise connection. So I can also access to some private deals in mainland China.
Okay. So now with the investments in China, it seems like it's untouchable. How are you guys? What are you guys going to do, or how are you going to manage and handle it? I mean, the geopolitics. Maybe Hash first.
Stay out of politics.
But you cannot stay out your investments. The investment in China.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that makes this world a crazy place. So I look at things and I really respect what Anthony said in one part. you've got to know the founders. Now you're late stage, but when I come in early stage, I don't go through funds like you do, which is a very smart way of actually getting involved and hedging your risk. But when I look at the founder, numbers tell me numbers. That's all it is. If I look at the inflationary figures of Hong Kong, I see a paradigm of moving basket of goods that change the numbers. So if I look at data in itself, it's completely is an illusion that satisfies my desires in the yield that I want to have. So I have to look at the founders. I have to talk to them. I have to drink with them. I have to eat with them. I have to be able to go and visit them. I need to know how they live and understand what they're building. Now these founders, how they navigate and go through risk mitigation with the various different elements, and the elements exist not only geopolitically, but internally. If you look at America today, it's become fractionalized in society. You have so many different movements that are taking place, and each one of them doesn't allow for cohesion development. But yet, if you read what Joe Biden's figures, Bidenomic figures coming out, they're all positive, and you wonder why. So if we can look at the risk element, we can hedge it, and we can find a place where we can understand what those risk possibilities are, stay the hell out of politics. And politics, for me, the problem is, it's become so important in our business decisions. In the past, when uncles and everybody else invested, we never considered politics. Hong Kong was never a political center. Today, we're the biggest football that everyone loves to kick around. But yet, we still have to find what it is that resonates for Hong Kong. What we can build as the nature of Hong Kong, which is not property, and or the $20,000 gift to pregnant families. But to find out what is it that Hong Kong stands for, and we can start here to build what Hong Kong stands for. Hong Kong will become resilient to whatever ventures that we choose to invest in, because we have a lot of intellectual capability. Hong Kong people are smart. The people who come to Hong Kong, super intelligent, fantastic to work with, and they understand the risk. Professionals, amazing. So we need to fix Hong Kong, bring everyone back in, and help us understand what we don't know, and that's politics.
Anthony, what say you? You still believe, or you now suspend your investment in China until it's getting much clearer?
We had close calls right before COVID. So if you remember, right before COVID, all these tech companies, Didi, ByteDance,
Yeah, they got crazy valuations.
Yeah. So we were in talks with ByteDance. At that time, I think the valuation was close to 400 billion.
Yes.
Now you can actually buy ByteDance at 180 billion.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we almost invested because some of our investors actually they want it despite that kind of valuation. Then we also spoke to Didi, we also like GD Logistic and a few others. So we just felt that something is not right. Something is really not right. So we.
But what's that, feeling not right? What kind of feeling is that?
It's just the inner voice. I think investment is more of an art rather than science. You can look at all the numbers, but actually you need to have a feel for it. So a few of us just felt that it's not right. So we didn't proceed. Then right after the COVID and everything, then the valuation just dropped, and the China's policy of clamping down on all these tech companies actually came true. So it was a very close call because we were ready to actually deploy. So since then, we haven't looked at any Chinese tech companies.
Wow, for 3 years already.
Yes, so a lot of opportunities, especially last 18 months, at very good valuation, but we just decided that China is a no-go for now. Yeah.
For now.
For now.
So what is this, for now, last?
I don't know.
You don't know yet. Okay. So Jacky, you have something to chip in?
I think every crisis comes with opportunities. It is how do you look for the opportunities amongst the crisis. Yeah, for example, geopolitics, it brings down a lot of industry. For example, the U.S. is expanding the chips, computer chips industry to for the Chinese firms, but I have seen a lot of Chinese local chips company growing really fast this few years to grow their own technology. I think it's how you look into the opportunities among within the crisis. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I want to echo what the panel has been discussing first. And it's true that a lot of investors are reallocating their money away from China. When I was in Japan last July, a lot of people are looking at replacement because there were a big portion of their investment was in Japan. When they need to reallocate, they need to look at other countries, and Japan is one of the candidates that they are looking at. So it's true that money are moving away from China, but I also want to echo what Jacky just mentioned, because I met some investors who focus in China, and what they see is in the last few years, since some of the big 龙头企业, big company were being sanctioned by US. So other company, they start to feel scared. What if one day they are being sanctioned? What would happen? So most of these companies who are big enough and powerful enough, they start to nurture replacement within China. So they invest and they also collaborate and form partnership with these smaller companies who they hope one day will replace the overseas supply. And so after a few years, you can see a lot of these smaller companies, they have their invention pretty ready for being used by some of the big corporate. And in some sector, like the chips, in some sector, they are only behind overseas, like around five years. Yeah. So it's something I also believe, when everybody are going away, there's maybe some interesting opportunity that you need to look at. And one thing that's different from a family office perspective, to diversify our investment, and we can invest anywhere around the world, right? The only risk is we lose our investment. And so that's why some family may choose to reallocate to other country. Some may actually choose to look at, but cherry pick. Not every sector is relevant like before, but you need to cherry pick what will be relevant in the future.
So any questions from the floor? Tony.
So I'd like to ask the panelists, how would you describe your risk profile? Right. So maybe if I can start to sort of give you an example. So I'm a gambler. That's why I'm in the gaming industry. Sometimes I'm reckless. Sometimes I get very lucky. 10 years ago, I invested into Macau, and what was a struggling gaming supplier is now listed in the Hong Kong Stock Exchange. So that's a success. But I've had many failures with angel investments, but I'm still slightly crazy and always curious. So I'd like to ask the panelists, what is your risk profile and what is your investment style in a humorous way?
You need to build a portfolio to diversify your risk. So for our case, if I look at my own portfolio, you can see some of your portfolio companies actually benefit by the new technology or the situation like COVID, they actually benefit. And then you have other portfolio which is struggle in this kind of environment. So that's why having a diversified portfolio is very important.
I think I mentioned just now I'm a very safe investor. So I always tell my investors and the families that invest in what you know. I always told them that if you're a stock market investor or like yourself, a gambler, you always just punt on anything that comes with some news. So that is not my style. So I always encourage investors to understand the industry, understand the company, before you invest. That is how I approach investment. So that's why I intentionally create this structure of only investing in late stage companies. So I'm opposite of Carmen. But I place safe bets, and I make sure that none of my companies go below. So throughout my career in this private space, I only have one lost position. The rest are all relatively doing relatively okay, between 2 to 10x.
So we have a great panel here. Yeah.